today, we are going to discuss about inverse variations. So for us to begin with, let us have the definition of inverse variations. There is inverse variation whenever a situation produces pairs of numbers whose product is constant. The statement y varies inversely to x may be translated mathematical to y equals k over x, where k is the constant of variation. For two quantities x and y, an increase in x causes a decrease in y, or vice versa. Meaning, kapag nadagdagan yung value ng x, mababawasan yung value ng y. Unlike sa direct variation, na pareha silang tataas or pareha silang bababa. In inverse variation, kapag tumaas yung isa, the other one, bababa yung value. Or, kapag bumaba yung isa, the other one, tataas yung value. So, let us have statements and then translate it into mathematical equations. Number 1, we have the number of cake slices C varies inversely as the number of persons N sharing a whole cake. So, yung C stands for the number of cake slices, while yung N stands for the number of persons sharing a whole cake. That would be C equals K over N, where K is our constant of variation. Number 2, number of persons P needed to do a job varies inversely as the number of days D to finish the job. So let us translate this mathematically. So that would be P equals K over D, wherein K is also the constant of variation. Let us have the table of values. So we have here the values of x and y. So as you can see, from the x values, 30, 20, 15, 12, and 10, pababa. While yung value ng y, as you observe, is pataas. So meaning, habang tumataas yung value ng y, bumababa yung value ng x. So, paano natin malalaman yung constant of variation nila? If we are going to multiply the ordered pairs, makikita natin na pare-parehas yung ratio nila or yung constant ratio nila. 30 times 2, that is 60. 20 times 3, that is also 60. 15 times 4, that is 60. 12 times 5, that is also 60. And then 10 times 6, that is also 60. Meaning to say, ang constant of variation nila is 60. Or, if we are going to use the solution, we can write down y equals k over x. And then, pwede tayong pumili ng kahit isang pares lang from the table. So, let us try 10 and 6. So, yung y, palitan natin ng 6 equals k over yung x, palitan natin ng partner niya, which is yung 10. So, let us cross-multiply. So, 6 times 10, k is equal to 60. So, the constant of variation is 60. Okay, so let us have this first example. Find the constant of variation and equation of variation given y varies inversely as x and y equals 6 when x equals 18. So the first step that we are going to do is to translate this statement, y varies inversely as x. So if we are going to translate that mathematically, that would be y equals k over x. And after that, we need to substitute the value of y and the value of x. So since we have here 6 and 18, substitute it to our equation. So yung y, palitan natin ng 6 equals k over yung x, palitan natin ng 18. And then, since we have this, cross-multiply lang natin yung 6 and 18. So 6 times 18, we have the value of k, which is 108. Meaning, our constant of variation is 108. Next, we need to use again our equation y equals k over x. So, isubstitute lang natin yung value ng k dun sa equation. So, palitan natin yung k ng 100k. So, we are going to have y equals 108 over x. So, this is our equation of variation. Now, let us have example number 2. If y varies inversely as x and y equals 10 when x equals 2, find y when x equals 10. So, I'm going to show you the first method on how to solve this type of problem. So, the first step that we're going to do is translate this statement. So, y varies inversely as x. If we translate it mathematically, that would be y equals k over x. And then, let us focus first on the first given, which is 10 and 2. So, let us substitute the value of y and x to the equation. So, yung y, palitan natin ng 10 equals k over yung value ng x, which is 2. And then, same process, cross-multiply lang natin yung 10 and 2. So, 10 times 2, that is 20. So, the value of k is 20. So, since we have the constant of variation, which is 20, we need to write the equation of variation. So, that would be y equals 20 over x. So, meron na tayong equation of variation. Gagamitin natin to para ma-solve yung y. So, dito tayo sa second given, which is 10. So, yung 10, substitute lang natin dun sa x. So, yung x, palitan natin ng 10. So, we have here 20 over 10. So, we need to divide it. So, that would be y equals 2. Okay, so second method or another method that we can use is x sub 1 multiplied by y sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 multiplied by y sub 2. So, itong formula na to, pwede lang siya kapag ang pinag-uusapan is inverse variation. So, since we have this formula, substitute lang natin yung mga given values. So, yung unang value ng x, which is x sub 2, ipalit lang natin dito sa x sub 1. So, that is 2. Multiplied by unang value ng y, which is yung 10. Equals pangalawang value ng x, which is yung 10. Multiplied by pangalawang value ng y. Pero since wala tayong pangalawang value ng y dahil yun yung hinahanap, remain as y sub 2. So, multiply lang natin. 2 times 10, that is 20, equals 10 times y, so that is 10y. Divide both sides by 10 para ma-eliminate yung 10. So, cancel it out. Or 10 divided by 10, that is 1. So, y na lang yun. So, y sub 2 is equal to 2. So, same answer pa din, pero magkaibang method. Okay, so last example, let us have number 3. If p varies inversely as the square of q, and p equals 3 when q is 4, find p when q equals 16. So again, same process, translate muna natin yung statement. So since we have p varies inversely as the square of q, if we need or if we are going to translate it mathematically, that would be p equals k over q squared because of the word square. And then, substitute ulit natin yung unang given, which is yung 3 and 4. So, yung p, palitan natin ng 3 equals k over yung q, palitan natin ng 4 and then squared. So, before we cross-multiply, square muna natin yung 4. So, 4 squared, so that is 16. Or 4 times to itself, that is 16. And then, we can now cross-multiply. So, 3 times 16, we are going to have k is equal to 48. So, that is our constant of variation. So, since we have the constant of variation, we are now going to substitute it to our equation. So, we are going to have p equals 48 over q squared. And then, proceed tayo sa last given, which is yung p when q equals 16. So, yung q, palitan lang natin ng 16. So, we're going to have 48 over 16 squared. So, since we have 16 squared, if we are going to multiply it by itself, so that is p equals 48 over 256. So, since we cannot divide 48 by 256, ilo-lowest term na lang natin siya. So, the lowest term of it is p equals 3 over 16. So, the value of p is 3 over